Good day, Big Business, and welcome to yet another exciting Power Your Business segment, proudly sponsored by Utility, the segment where we give you tips on how to keep your lights on. We are still running the competition with Utility. Please visit our website on www.bigbiz.africa. Go to our competitions page and follow the instructions, and you could stand a chance to win 2 solar panels and a 2-month payment holiday along with your order. Remember to please check our socials to see if you are the winner. You have spoken and we have listened. We have brought back our internationally renowned energy expert, Mr. Maxwell Mapako. And today we're talking about solutions and options that are geared towards combating load shedding. Max, thank you for coming back to the show.
Thank you very much, Billy.
We're really excited. There's been a lot of buzz since our last conversation, and I see today you've got a few gadgets for us. I think I want us to start off by recapping some of the conversations that we had at our last Power Your Business segment. We talked about, the diversification of the energy mix. And, keeping in theme with today's conversation around what other solutions are there specifically, for business, aimed at providing alternative, sources of energy.
Okay. I think one can focus not only on what other sources they are, but also what can the entrepreneur do to also enter into this business.
Yes.
So beyond supplying yourself, you can also supply others. But that's innovation that one could think up and So as we discussed the last time, there are many options, but one is to plan their innovation or their process to try and include several options for your core supply of energy, because then you are not held hostage by one of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So we talk about these different solutions, we talk about these different options, but then what are the financial implications? Because access is a big thing when we talk about small business, right? And what are some of the financial implications that we linked to some of these solutions that are out there currently?
Okay. I think if one looks, for example, at the dissemination of solar home systems now, recently financing options have become available. So you now find adverts for so much per month, you can actually have a system installed. This has not been available for a long time, but it's now there. These are actually options that are on the table. So this allows you to overcome the hurdle of finding cash to pay for the system, because it's expensive upfront. But if there are financing options that are available to you, then more people can afford to buy. So financing has most of the time been the major hurdle.
Yeah.
The actual price of the systems themselves also is an issue. But as we discussed previously, it's possible for the government, for example, to use some regulatory instruments, policy and regulatory instruments, to address this, like reducing duties, encouraging local production, so that you both generate local employment, but also hopefully you can produce at a lower cost without the transportation and so on from importations. Yeah. So for the SME, I would say the major financial implications are the actual capital cost that is involved, and the availability of financing options and the cost of those. So the enterprise has to weigh these and see what is most appropriate for them. But as long as the production of the enterprise helps it to offset the cost of the energy source, that helps it, because if it's not actually helping in productivity, then it's a cost which your production is not actually helping to offset. Yes, which is why we discussed previously the need to target the productive activities of the enterprise that being sort of targeted.
I think I'm really getting excited about what we have here, but before we go into these nice little gadgets here, I wanted to check, are there any programs out there that, you know, entrepreneurs can tap into, you know, to increase their productivity and, you know, curb load shedding?
Yeah, I think they are like business forum where entrepreneurs can pitch their ideas. So that's one way to try and publicize your ideas, hopefully to attract funding, which allows you to actually set up business. So there are many entrepreneurs who have ideas, but they don't know how to go from that idea stage to a prototype and then a product that is commercially viable. So for me, that remains a major barrier to many entrepreneurs. They don't have an easy way to move from the idea to a prototype to the market. And in many cases, many entrepreneurs, like in a township, they don't have sufficient education, to be able to navigate through this. But fortunately, there are programs like at the Innovation Hub, for example, where they have got specific programs targeting entrepreneurs with different interventions to help them to go from idea to product. So I think that is one way where entrepreneurs can go from having an idea to a product.
To actually commercialize
yes,
a product.
and that means I'm talking about entrepreneurs who might like to join this sector as energy suppliers, and they would have ideas, but they don't know where to go. So I think that partly addresses the constraint that we have. So the more we can actually find and empower entrepreneurs, especially like the less resourced entrepreneurs, like in townships, there will be lots of ideas, but they die there because there is nowhere for them to. They don't really know a clear path. Of how to get there.
I want to go back to the financing of innovation just a little bit later. But what I want to say to the ladies and gentlemen out there, what Max is saying is that we need to move from consumerism, but to be more suppliers. So don't think about where your next electricity is coming from, but rather what solutions can you put out there so that you can assist people with the scourge of load shedding. Max, I can't wait anymore. What's going on here? What have you got for us today?
Okay. So what I brought are two gadgets. These are not my products. I just bought them.
Okay.
But I just wanted to illustrate how sometimes the thinking that people do, they can see an idea and they can adapt it and produce a product which they can sell. So this is actually electric lights, which are LED lights here. This is essentially a paraffin stove. What we have here, with just a long chimney, but just a flame in there. That's it.
So it's you put paraffin somewhere
in this tank.
In the tank, and
yes. And then you have a flame. So this, in itself, this is an ordinary stove. There is nothing new there. The idea that makes it work in a certain way is this. So what you have here, if you recall that camping fridges, car fridges, the ones that can warm or cool
at the
your
same
food.
time.
Yes, those ones are based on this thermocouple here, the device in there, which has got two metals joined, one side, which is this side, and the other side is here. Now, these devices, if you have that junction of two metals, sometimes if you put electricity through them, depending on which way it is going, one side gets hot, the other side gets cold. Yes. If you reverse the current flow, you have the reversal of the side that was what becomes the cold side. So it just depends on which way.
Is that the reason why my fridge is hot at the back and cold inside?
It's a little bit different. Your typical fridge is a heat pump. Yes. Okay. So what it's doing is pumping heat, but using a fluid inside to pump heat from inside the fridge and dumping it on the outside.
On the outside.
But it's essentially what it is, very simply, is that it forces the liquid to evaporate in a tube.
Okay.
Evaporation causes cooling. Yes, which you can, I mean, if you dip, say, your finger, even in water and you blow on it, it actually feels colder. The temperature goes down because of the evaporation.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you force the evaporation like what happens in the fridge, that side where the evaporation is happening becomes very cold. So that's the inside, and it absorbs heat from your food inside. And then on the outside, it compresses the liquid back from the gas to the liquid, so it condenses it, and that releases heat. So essentially what it's doing is just taking it from the inside and outside.
And keeping
So
it cool.
yes, so essentially this is also works like a heat pump.
Okay.
In that, depending, so with your car fridge, for example, you normally reverse the terminals, and then you can actually get it to warm the inside. If you reverse them, the side gets cold. So it's just you reverse the current flow and the way it behaves changes. So someone saw that and decided that, okay, let's use this device to produce electricity.
Okay.
And what happens then is the paraffin stove here heats one side of this thermocouple, and this fan, there's a fan here, it cools this side. So this side is being cooled, this side is being heated. So again, you have a hot side and the cold side. When you do that, you actually have a current flowing, and simply that is what you then feed to your lights, and you've got LEDs. So it's a household device where you can light up the house by using paraffin, directly converting it to electricity. So you get good quality light.
Yeah.
That's the major thing, is that a paraffin lamp will not be very good light. It's reddish and smoky.
Yes.
But this, then you get
That's actually quite nifty. But ladies and gentlemen, what you can do, instead of getting yourself a thermocouple, which is not a bad idea, is go on to our website, www.bigbiz.africa, go on to our competitions page, follow the instructions, and you can stand a chance to win, along with your utility order, 2 panels, solar panels, and on top of that we will add a 2-month payment holiday. Max, I mean, having gone through, your resume and having, conversed with you, you have a lot of international exposure from your research. And what are some of the key learnings around the provision of energy, to SMMEs based on, the work that you've done?
Okay. I think maybe it's best if I actually take an actual example.
Okay.
And show how much integration happens when you're actually targeting productive activities, say in a village. The example that I'm going to give you is from Rwanda. They decided to, in a certain village outside Kigali, just outside Kigali, to set up a dairy farming enterprise for the villagers, home-based dairy milk production. So what they did was to say they would have the villagers grow the fodder for the cattle. The cattle are zero grazed, in other words, they are confined, and you bring the fodder to them. So they are standing in a pen, and the production of energy here is actually biogas. So what you do is, because the cows are permanently like stationed, and so the dung and the urine, when you wash the floors, all that goes into a channel that goes to a biogas digester. So you are collecting the dung and the urine into a digester.
An aerobic digester.
Exactly, yes, that's the one, yes. So this produces biogas, which is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. It's like 2/3 roughly methane, and the other third is carbon dioxide. It varies a bit. So you are now having production of energy at the household, which is at the enterprise, from their waste, from your cow. Then there are also appliances available, gas appliances for the biogas. Essentially, they look the same as any gas appliance, like a gas lamp or gas stove, except that you modify your jets The small hole where the gas comes out, you make it a bit bigger because the pressure of the gas is much less than what you get from a cylinder. So you have to allow more gas to pass through by having a larger hole. Yes, yeah. So there are modifications that you do, but it's nothing major. So now, when you have a scheme where you've got villagers with cattle producing biogas as a source of energy, and then because they are now, the product is milk of these enterprises, they need to sell this milk. What that means, there are a few things that must also be integrated into this activity. One is veterinary services should be available because the cows will get sick sometimes. So that should be available. And then there is refrigeration because the milk, once it's milked, needs to be refrigerated and then taken to the market. So you see that just that simple activity of trying to start a dairy-based enterprise using energy from the cow dung ends up integrating a lot of things to support this. So you've got your refrigeration, you've got your veterinary services, you've got roads for trucks that collect the milk to access this area and go with it. So it requires, I think the point here is it requires a lot of integration, and it might mean that government departments, those responsible for roads, for health like animal health, electricity for refrigeration, these are coming together into a project to provide the different components. So that integration is key, but I think that's an important message, that a lot of these projects require that kind of integration to make it work, because there are different components to it, and unless you coordinate this, it won't work well.
We've seen, for instance, in government, the concept of war rooms. This is where we're trying to work out unintended consequences of policy coordination failure, where you would have all these different players from the different departments coming in to try and solve, problems that, they can, they sort of have a mandate on. And I think you're making a very, good example of how, integration at that level, could bring about, real change for these entrepreneurs. I think I'm actually quite excited to learn what this pump does over here.
Okay. This, I think some people will know, is a ramp pump. It was invented more than 200 years ago.
Okay.
Yes. And it's used in, places like India, they use a lot of these. I've seen some working in the field, and many people will be incredulous to say, does this work? Because this pump can pump water 24/7 throughout the day and night. As you can see, there is no fuel here, there is no electricity, there is no engine. So, how does it work? It doesn't look possible. But what the source of energy for this is actually gravity. Yes. So for this to work, you need quite a high head. In other words, the difference between this level and where your source is. So it should be quite higher than this.
Okay.
Right. So that's the first thing that you need to have. This side is where the water comes out. How it works then, and this one is an air chamber. Yes. Now, if you listen to this, you can see there is a non-return valve there. Yes. So there's a non-return valve there. There's another one there, here. Okay. Right. So what is happening now is you've got your water. Because of the height, this gives us a lot of pressure.
Yes.
This is why, like in your house, the tap pressure is very high. But what is the source of that pressure is the height, because normally houses are supplied from tanks that are usually on hills nearby, but the tank is always raised well above the houses. It is to get that pressure. That's what gives you pressure in your tap, is that height.
That height.
Yeah. So the same thing here, you've got the source up. So typically this works where in hilly areas where you've got these gradients.
Yes.
So the river is flowing down, you tap the water at the top, this is at the bottom. Now there is a lot of pressure here. So if I were to open this, when this is exposed to that pressure, the water starts to come, and obviously it will start to shoot through here. But this non-return valve will be forced to shut. Yes. Now, when that happens, there is actually a shock wave. You can see this like in your own house. If you've got taps where you use the lever to open and close, if you do it suddenly, you have a bang in the pipe. Exactly. That's called a water hammer. So it's a shock wave that goes back. So that's exactly what happens when this valve closes suddenly. There is a pressure pulse that goes there. So this pressure pulse, this is open to both sides, right? So that pressure can't go there because the valve is closed. It can't go very much there because there is a very large amount of pressure. So it goes this way. Yes. And this non-return valve allows water to flow this way but not this way. So then the water is forced in there. So then again, when the pressure, once this shuts, the pressure from this side is relieved by going that way. So this valve drops. As soon as it starts to drop, the water starts shooting again, and then it forces the valve shut. So you actually have a repetitive shutting down by this valve, and that gives us pressure pulses going in. And what it's doing is compressing the air here. So each time the pressure in this thing is rising and compressing the water. Yes. Now as the pressure rises, after some time, if you open this side, you actually see water going. Yes. Because now there is pressure here. Even if this just the pressure is not pushing, and it will start pushing the water out to the tank. Yes. So that's a REM pump. So it works because of the gravity acting on the column of water, giving a lot of pressure here, and then this mechanism utilizes that to pump water. So this is a REM pump, and these are examples of simple devices. I made this one myself. It's simply joining these pipes correctly. Yes. So, but these are examples of what entrepreneurs can actually come up with by knowing a few things. So one could actually, this is not patented anymore. So you can make this and sell it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is a simple device, but one could make and sell a pump.
I am certain the wheels are turning with the innovators that are watching the show at the moment. And if we do have, those type of entrepreneurs who want to rattle and disrupt traditional industries, especially in this space, either using a thermocouple or a REM pump, what would be your advice to them?
Okay, I think answering that in a general sense, if you do research, you find many devices, but be careful. On the internet, you'll find a lot of fake devices which don't work. Essentially, they will promise you that you can connect a motor to a generator, start it, and then this thing will run by itself because the generator is providing the motor. And so but that's not possible because that's a perpetual motion machine.
Yes.
There is no 100% efficiency here. So whatever goes into the motor, only a certain percentage goes to the pump. So it can the generator cannot then power the motor because you have losses. So it won't work. But there are many devices of that kind where they say that they say, where is the energy source? Because if you can't find the source, because there is a law of conservation of energy which says you cannot create or destroy energy. You can transform it, but you cannot create or destroy. So that maybe helps you to distinguish between what is nonsense and what seems to work. If you can see the source and you can see where the inefficiencies are, and so so I would say, I think curiosity and trying to know a little bit of basic science helps a lot for an entrepreneur to actually see ideas like whoever did this. So an idea working in a different environment and realize that, okay, I can actually make a device using the same thermocouple but sell a product. And this guy in the 1700s realized, developed this idea by just thinking about it and realized that you can have a pump on this, and now they work. So
ladies and gentlemen, research, and I think having this conversation with Max has just reminded me that we need to have a conversation around financing of innovation in the country, and we will definitely look into that. Max, thank you so much for coming back to the show. I think you're slowly becoming our resident energy expert, and we'll definitely call upon you again. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Billy.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from my side with Power Your Business from Fertility. Till we see you again. In the interim, if you'd like to win some incredible fertility prizes, go to our website, www.bigbiz.africa. Go to the competitions page, follow the instructions, enter the competition, and track our socials to see if you are a winner. We are looking forward to hearing from you. If you would like to interact with us, do send us an email on info@bigbiz.africa. Follow our socials and tell us what you think about this show. Till we meet again. Thank you.